This is the Paracave Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Parramatta Leagues Club, home of the Eels, and also home of Jack's Pale Ale.
Welcome to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Paracave.
And yes, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. Troy Warner here. This is the tipping podcast for round number 7. Now, I'm doing it solo tonight. My little offsider, Ella, she is on school holiday, so she has gone over to Grandma's today to say hello and have a day out. So I am doing it singly today, and I do have her tips, so I will read out her tips as we go. Oh, I might just read them out at the end. But this is the tipping podcast, brought to you by Ashore Strata Reports on Instagram. Give them a follow, and also Buddy Old Man Masters Boxer, give him a follow on Facebook as well. Thank you very much to those two gentlemen for leading the sponsoring the tipping competition, the Paracave Podcast tipping competition, which is now in its 6th week, and we still have the same leader, Jaden Zaid, on 35 points. So they are still in the lead there. And the top tipper for this week was, I do believe it was somebody I know actually, Polezzi 88 with 7, almost a perfect round there. Could have got a perfect round if he didn't tip Para, but he is a massive loyal Parramatta Eels fan, so he did tip the mighty Eels, as did I, which cost him a perfect round. And I know how he feels because I have done that before. I have tipped Parramatta and they are the last game of the round and they let me down and lose the game, and there goes my perfect round. But anyway, well done getting 7 right. That's a massive effort. I think that could be one of the highest tipping scores this year. So myself, I am in 54th position, only on 25 points, unfortunately, and Ella is in 68th spot on 24 points, so only 1 point behind me. So I've given up 5 points tipping Parramatta this year, so maybe that cost me a little bit. But I do believe that they can win games. Unfortunately, they haven't, and that's cost me 5 points. I have got them right once. But anyway, it's not about me. It's about the round that's coming up, round number 7. And it kicks off on Thursday. It is Easter week this week, so it kicks off on Thursday, 7:50pm. The Sea Eagles taking on the Dragons at 4 Pines Park. And this will be a really interesting game, I think, because the Sea Eagles, they went down to the Sharks over there in WA as part of that double header last weekend, and the Dragons, they had a good win against the Gold Coast Titans, 38 points to 16 down in Wollongong. So look, this will be a cracker of a game, I think. It will be, as I said, played at Brookvale Oval, and the Sea Eagles find themselves in 8th spot at the moment, and they are favourites going into this game. The Dragons are in 10th, so they will have plenty of confidence going into this game as well, as I mentioned. Jason Saab returns for the Manly Sea Eagles onto the wing, so not many other changes there. That's the only change to the Manly side. Still no Tom Trbojevic, due back in a few weeks' time. For the Dragons, the loss of Christian Tuipulotu, the money man with a hamstring injury, sees Matt Feeney moved from 18th man to the starting side. So that's the only change to the Dragons side. So two teams that are pretty consistent in their sides, which is what you want in your rugby league team. You want consistency in your team each and every week. You don't want too many mass changes. You want to get those combinations going right. So, look, I am looking forward to this game on Thursday, to be honest. The last time these two sides met was last season. The Sea Eagles got a win 30 points to 14 at Brookvale, and they also met way back in March 2024 as well. The Dragons got the win 20 points to 12. So, looks like they get the wins at each other's grounds, at their own home grounds. But look, I think the Dragons could get this win. I just don't know about the Sea Eagles. They do play better at Four Pines. But yeah, I don't know. I think the Dragons could really sneak up on them and get the win. I think obviously there's Clint Gutherson there. Valentine Holmes is playing some good footy at the moment. Damien Cook out of dummy half. Jaden Sewer as well. He's had a good couple of weeks. So yeah, look, I'm going to tip the Dragons in this one, I think, over the Sea Eagles. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go there. The next game, Good Friday. Now, this is going to be a cracker of a game. This is the traditional Good Friday game up at Accor Stadium. It is the Bulldogs, the high-flying Bulldogs, up there in first spot, having the bye last week, up against the Rabbitohs, who find themselves in fifth spot, coming off a loss against the Cowboys last week. 24 points to 16. That was the other doubleheader over there in Perth. So, look, wow. They are expecting a crowd of about 70,000 at Accor Stadium for this game. The club was able to work with Ticketek, and they've got some $10 tickets up on level 6 apparently. So look, I think they're pretty much already snapped up, I would say anyway, but that was a great initiative that they have done there. But some big news for you Bulldogs fans that may be listening to this. Matt Burton is named back into the 5/8 role there, and Viliami Kikau is named on an extended bench. So maybe he may play, he may not, but that is great news for you Bulldogs fans. Bailey Hayward, he goes back to the bench after he replaced Burton for 3 games. Satili Tupanua also returns from suspension onto the bench as well. So, some good ins for the Bulldogs. For the Rabbitohs, some also big news for them as well. Cody Walker returns to first grade after the hamstring strain. He is in at halfback and partners Latrell Mitchell, who stays in at 5/8, which is the right thing to do, to be honest, with Jai Gray leading the Dally M's. He stays there at fullback, and Ewan Aiken stays in the centres. Lewis Dodd, the Englishman, he will make his debut. He's in the number 14 jersey for the Rabbitohs on the bench. Maybe just a little bit of cover as well for Cody as well. Also, Campbell Graham returns as well, which is good news for them. He's had a wretched run of injuries of late, so he returns on the wing for the Rabbitohs in place of the injured Alex Johnston. Sean Kepi as well has been named, but whilst recording this podcast, he will appear at the judiciary after seeking a downgrade on a careless high tackle charge, so he may or may not be playing this weekend, and Jaden Sullivan is serving a 1-game suspension. So, look, this one is going to be a cracker of a game. These big games, the Good Friday clashes, they're always something that happens in these games. Doesn't necessarily matter where both teams are on the ladder. both teams get up for this game, and it's going to be a massive crowd. It's going to be a record-breaking crowd for a general NRL game, regular season game, so it's going to be a record there. The Bulldogs, they had the week off. Will that kill their momentum, or will that just intensify their desire to win again and keep on top of that ladder? When you're playing good footy, you just want to keep on playing, but it's actually done them a justice, because now Matt Burton is back and Viliame Kikau's on that extended bench, but Matt Burton, the big one there, they will like his goal kicking and his big Berto bombs as well. Look, I think I'm going to go the Bulldogs on this one. I just think the home ground advantage is going to be a massive Bulldogs support there at a core stadium. Both these teams play out of this ground as their home ground, so no real home ground advantage. The only home ground advantage that will be there is the crowd, so I think that'd be more in the Bulldogs' favour. And their defence this season has been unbelievable, so I think I'm going to tip them. Last year in this corresponding game, it was the Rabbitohs who got a 4-point win over the Bulldogs. So look, it's going to be a close game. I think it might be about a 1 to 12 game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout score. But I think the Bulldogs will get this one. The next game on Good Friday sees the Dolphins take on the Storm up there in Queensland at Suncorp Stadium. The Dolphins are playing some good footy at the moment. They've got the win over the Panthers last week, 30 points to 12. They are flying at the moment. Well, not flying. I shouldn't say that. They lost their first, they lost 3 in a row, and then they got the win against the Titans, and then the win against the Panthers. So they're back-to-back winners, but their opponents, the Melbourne Storm, they are putting on some points this season, that is for sure. They defeated the last 2 weeks. They put 48 points on the Sea Eagles at Brookvale, and they put 42 points on the Warriors at Amy Park. So they know how to score points, that is for sure. The Dolphins are no slouches either. They've scored 36 against the Titans and 30 against the Panthers, so they know how to score points as well. They know how to score points as well, but the good thing for the Dolphins is they've got the same 17 that did the job against the Panthers. So Ray Stone served his suspension. He will be 18th man. And also good news for the Storm as well. Jerome Hughes has been named, despite sitting out the second half, most of the second half, with a shoulder issue. So Sua Fa'alongo comes into the side to make his first NRL appearance of the season. Grant Anderson moves to the centres. Geez, he's Mr. Handy as well. You got Tyron Wishart. Grant Anderson's Mr. Handy as well. So he can play a number of positions in the back line as well. And can score a try as well. Will Warbrick and Nelson Asafa-Solomona remain sidelined due to ongoing concerns with concussion. Look, I'm going to tip the Storm in this one, just because they're coming second at the moment, just because of the points that they can score. But look, just be a little bit wary of the Dolphins. It could be one of those another danger games for the Melbourne Storm. You just don't know what's going to turn up with the Dolphins. They played some really good football last week against the Panthers. The Hammer got a triple, I think, so he is back on the try-scoring list. But I just think the Storm, they are too good at the moment, and no doubt that's why they are premiership favourites. So I'm going to tip the Storm in that one. The First game on Saturday. Only the 2 games on Saturday because there is 1 game on Easter Monday. A bit of Monday afternoon football this weekend. So the first game on Saturday sees the Warriors take on the Broncos over there in New Zealand at Commbank Stadium. And look, the Warriors, I don't know. They've unfortunately lost James Fisher-Harris with a pectoral injury. That is a huge loss for them. Massive loss. Their captain really solidifies that middle of the field as well. So that is a huge loss for the Warriors. Jackson Ford comes into the front row. Jacob Laban comes onto the bench. Charles Nickel-Clockster has entered the concussion protocols. So Tane Tuapiki moves to fullback. Ed Cozzi goes onto the wing. So, look, a few changes there to the Warriors side, but only the one change to the Broncos. Jordan Ricky is back from suspension. That is good news for the Broncos there. Always a tough road trip to go over to New Zealand. The Warriors, they've been a bit up and down this season. They lost their first game over in Las Vegas and had 3 straight wins, and then lost big time to the Storm. So the Broncos, same form as the Warriors. They lost to the Raiders in round 2. They lost to the Raiders in round 2 down in Canberra. Then 3 straight wins against the Cowboys, Dolphins, and Tigers, and then a loss to the Roosters, which pretty much nobody saw coming last week, I should say. So they're about the same sort of form, both these sides. Last time they met, it was a win to the Warriors, 32 points to 16 over there in New Zealand. So, look, I think just with all these changes to the Warriors side, and only the one change to the Broncos side, I think the Broncos, they will be ruining that loss against the Roosters last week at home. I think they will be too strong for this Warriors side. Reece Walsh, he's been pretty quiet this year in his own standards, I guess you could say, playing against his old club. That will always be interesting. As we know, players always stand up against their old clubs. Ben Hunt and Adam Reynolds are the halves again, with no Ezra Mam yet. Pat Carrigan, Payne Haas are the front rowers. We all know what Payne Haas can do. He certainly has a motor on him. And I just think that the Broncos will be too strong for the Warriors. I just think that all those changes, especially the loss of James Fisher-Harris for the Warriors, is a big one. So I'm going to go the Brisbane Broncos on that one. The second game on Saturday, Super Saturday, sees the Roosters take on the Panthers. Now, these guys played in round number 2, and it was a win to the Roosters, 38 points to 32. It was a cracking game, cracking ending, actually. You thought maybe the Panthers could jag the win at the end, but they didn't, and the Roosters got their first win of the season, and 38 points to 32. So, look, only a short turnaround between weeks until these two sides have played again. So, look, the Panthers, 5 straight losses. They got the win against the Sharks way back in Las Vegas in round 0. And 5 straight losses to the Roosters, Storm, Rabbitohs, Cowboys and Dolphins. So, you couldn't expect them to be losing too many more games, you wouldn't think. But you just never know in this NRL competition what can happen. The Roosters, they will have confidence of beating the Panthers a few weeks ago and also beating the Broncos last week to two of the competition heavyweights, I guess you could say. Billy Smith, unfortunately, suspended. So Mark Nwanga-Niktawase is back from a calf injury as well, so he'll just slot straight into that centre position, which is good news for the Roosters. And Victor Radley has been named to start at lock after returning from a cheekbone injury via the bench last week. Good news for the Panthers. Mitch Kenny returns from a shoulder injury. Casey McLean and Luke Garner form a new centre pairing. Interesting one here. Isaac Tungo moved to the bench, Tom Jenkins to the wing, and Jack Cole has been named among the reserves. So, look, a new look centre partnership. Very interesting about Isaac on the bench, number 17. I thought that, he's a premiership winning player, obviously struggling a little bit like a few of the other Panthers are this season. Blaze Talangi remains in the 5/8 role with Nathan Cleary at half. Look, I can't see the Panthers losing 6 in a row. I would have thought they would have won last week, to be honest, as well. But confidence is down at the moment. Confidence is up for the Roosters. They have beaten them before. I am going to tip the Panthers, though. I will tip the Panthers in this one. I just don't know if the Roosters can do it again. This could be one of those upset games from in this round. So, look, tip against the Panthers at your own peril, but I don't think they can lose. I don't think they can lose 6 in a row. But hey, who knows? Who knows? That's for sure. The first game on Sunday. 2 games on Sunday. Easter Sunday. Titans take on the Raiders up there at Cbus Super Stadium at 2 p.m. Now, for the Titans, Big Tino Fasul Malawi returns. He's back from suspension. And his brother Isaac as well. He's back from an ankle injury as well. Phil Sami slides into the centres. Beau Fermor returns to the back row. He played centre last week. So a few ins for them. And for the Raiders, Zach Hosking returns after missing 4 games with a hand injury. So Simi Sasagi drops the reserves. The only change that beat my Parramatta Eels up there in Darwin. So some good ins for the Gold Coast Titans, but I think the Raiders, look, they are pretty much I guess you could say the form side at the moment. They have gone underneath everyone's radars, I think. I mean, at the start of the year, I think they thought that they were going to lose and be down the bottom of the ladder, but they certainly have not disappointed. They have shocked a few people, I guess, but they got the win over in Las Vegas, and they backed it up at home against the Broncos. A few hiccups against the Sea Eagles and Cowboys, but then they turned it on against the Sharks and got the win, 24 points to 20, scored one of the tries of the season, and then absolutely demolished my Eels, 50 points to 12. For the Gold Coast Titans, they had the bye in the first week, and then they lost to the Bulldogs, then 2 straight wins against the Newcastle Knights and the Roosters, then a loss and 2 losses to the Dolphins and Dragons. So, look, where are the Gold Coast Titans? They're sort of one of these sides that can pull a surprise on you at home. But I just think the Raiders, they are playing some good footy. Their outside backs are scoring some great tries. Jamal Fogarty is leading them around the park, playing against his old club, the Gold Coast. Hudson Young, he is in great form, looking to get his State of Origin spot for New South Wales this season. Matty Nicholson as well, the Englishman, he's burst onto the scene as well. So, look, I'm going to tip the Raiders in this one. I think they can get the win up there on the Gold Coast. Geez, they've done some travelling this year. The Canberra Raiders, haven't they? They've been to Las Vegas, Townsville, Darwin, now the Gold Coast. Maybe they did a camp in Gold Coast for the week. Who knows? I haven't heard anything about that one. But the second game on Super Sunday, as well as Super Saturday, Easter Sunday, is the Newcastle Knights up against the Cronulla Sharks. Now, the Knights sit in 12th spot. The Sharks are in... the Sharks are in 9th spot. The Knights are in 12th spot. So, look, weren't they disappointing, the Newcastle Knights last week against the West Tigers? And that's not to take anything away from the West Tigers. They played some great footy to get that win up there, but I did tip the Newcastle Knights, but very disappointing. They are struggling to score points at the moment. I don't know where their points are going to come from, but I just don't know. They do get look, a few changes, I guess, for the Newcastle Knights. Tyson Gamble comes back in at number 7. James Schiller returns as well from concussion. Phoenix Crossland moves from halfback to hooker. Jaden Brayley goes back to the bench. Tyson Frizzell has been named at prop. Tyrone Thompson goes back to the bench. Matt Croker starts at lock after coming off the bench. Matt Arthur drops out. And Jack Cogger, who started off the year at halfback, he's listed among the reserves, coming back from a finger injury, a dislocated finger. I think he had put it back in place against the Bulldogs, I think it was, a couple of weeks back. Look, for the Sharks, Adam Fanua-Blake, he left the field early last week in Perth with a groin problem, but he has been named, and the same team that got the job done against Manly is named, so that's always good. As I said before in that first game, consistency in your side is what you want to have. So look, I just don't know where the points are going to come from. Newcastle, they've struggled all year to score points. They have the least amount of points scored this season. Parramatta the second least, but I just think the Sharks will get this win up at Newcastle. So Will Kennedy had a great game last week. Braden Trindle is not setting the world on fire, but doing his job. Nico Hines as well has copped a lot of criticism, as he always does, but he's doing the job as well. They had a good win against the Seagulls, a couple of hiccups against the Raiders and Bulldogs previous to that. So the Newcastle Knights, 3 straight losses for them going into this game. I think it might be a 4th. I'm going to tip the Sharks in this one. And the last game of the round is the traditional Easter Monday clash, and this one is at Commbank Stadium, where the West Tigers are the home side. They are taking on the Parramatta Eels. The Tigers, they sit in 7th spot. The Eels are in 17th, down the bottom of the ladder. Look, it's been an interesting week, hasn't it, for the West Tigers so far. Lachlan Galvin has announced that he will not be at the club after 2026, but will it be at the end of 2026 or will it be before that? Who knows? There is a lot of drama going on about that one at the Tigers. Will that derail them? I hope, being a Para fan, I hope so. Adam Dewey goes into halfback to partner Jerome Luai. He goes back to 5'8". That's a little bit of drama there. New halves combination. Brent Naden comes back into the centre spot that Adam Dewey left to go to halfback, back from a knee injury. So, yeah, a bit of disruption there. A lot happening at the Tigers. But the big news for Parramatta Eels fans, and boy, have we been waiting for this, is Mitch Moses is back. He's been named at halfback to play his first game of the year. So that is great news. And also the surprise news, I thought, as well. Jack Williams is back from a knee injury, and Kelma Tuolagi, he returns into the back row, replacing Sean Lane. Matt Dury goes onto the bench as well. And Big Sam Tuivasa, he goes onto the bench as well. He didn't play last week. Ryan Madison is the 18th man. Sean Lane has been dropped. Bailey Simonson keeps his wing spot there. But yeah, the big news is Mitchell Moses coming back as halfback and captain. Will he be the Parramatta Eels saviour? We know he loves playing against his old club, the Tigers. We all remember that Easter Monday game in 2019 where he scored that pretty much length of the field try in the corner. I think this is going to do Dylan Brown a lot of good, to be honest, having Mitchell back. We may see the best game Dylan Brown will play this season, this weekend, or Easter Monday, when Mitchell comes back. It will take a lot of pressure off Dylan, not being the main playmaker. So, look, this is a great thing, and every Para fan has been waiting for this. It was expected he would come back in Magic Round, round number 9. That was the talk going around, but people have been asking me, and I thought, well, I'm going to say it to them. I had a feeling that he was going to come back against this game. Parramatta have a bye next week, so it probably is a good thing that he comes back this week, and then there's still another. Then there's a bye, and then there's Magic Round, so probably good timing there, I would say. But yeah, that is great news. A few changes there to this side. It's a pretty strong-looking side, I think. Without Zach Lomax isn't there, obviously, but probably you're pretty much sort of strongest Parramatta side without Zach Lomax that you can probably name, I think. So Riley Smith, he's been named at number 9. Let's hope he stays at number 9 and starts the game at number 9. Jermaine Hopgood has been doing that of recent. But let's hope Riley starts and Jermaine stays at the lock. That would be the way I would go, but hey, I'm not a coach. But I'm really looking forward to this game. I will be out there at Commbank Stadium, so if you see me, come and say g'day. I'm going to tip Parramatta. Look, no surprise there. I will tip Parramatta. That is for sure. I think they can bounce back. I think the whole team is going to get confidence with Mitchell Moses back. So, for my tips for this weekend, look, follow them at your peril. I only got 4 out of 8 last week. I'm going to go the Dragons, the Bulldogs, the Storm, the Broncos, the Panthers, the Raiders. I'm going to go the Sharks, and I'm going to go the Eels, and the Cowboys have the bye this week. Now, my little offsider, Ella, she has given me her tips, and her tips are as follows: Manly, Souths, Melbourne, Broncos, Penrith, Canberra, Sharks, and the Tigers. So we all know she always goes against Parramatta, so that's no stranger there. So Ella and I have 3 different. Yes, 3 different. So we've got 3 different there, so we'll have to see who comes out on top there. But look, as I said, follow my tips, or Ella's tips, at your peril. You may even get more than us. So it's always good fun, this tipping competition. But thank you once again to Shaw Strata Reports on Instagram. Give them a follow. And Buddy Oldman, Masters Boxer on Facebook. Give him a follow as well. Proud sponsors of the tipping competition. Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. I hope you really enjoyed it. And look, good luck with your tipping. Enjoy your rugby league over the weekend. Have a good Easter. Don't eat too much chocolate. I probably will. I'll put that out there right now. I love the Easter chocolate. It's a different tasting chocolate, but try not to eat too much. I'll try not to, but I can't guarantee that. The Para Cave podcast, by the fan, for the fans. Go Para!
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Para Cave podcast. See you next time.